All right. Well, welcome to the last episode of this week. Of course, we are going to cover the Czech Extra Liga today, and we are covering the Extra Liga, the Hungarian-Romanian league in Europe. So let's first start off with the Czech Extra Liga. Of course, as we mentioned in the last one, they do sort of have the same indication as the one of the. Of course, these are all IHF level teams. Of course, they do have a team in the CHL and multiple CHL teams. Of course, they do have a lot of different situations here. So in the CHL, of course, this was before Czechoslovakia broke up. This was the league for Czechoslovakia, of course. The ELH, they participate as like all other European teams. They participate in the CHL, Champions Hockey League tournament for Europe, and to see who is going to be the champion. Of course, with them ranking 5th in Europe in league-wise, they were allowed to send 3 teams, as we mentioned the previous episode here. So, of course, they do have a total of 14 teams, and so they do sort of have the same concept of being allowed to be relegated. Of course, that has been changed. But they do have a similar setup to the NHL. Of course, they don't have a women's hockey league in the Czech as it looks like as of right now. Of course, most of these teams, they do play against each other, and with them playing in the CHL, of course, they do play against each other, or they play against other CHL teams to sort of get used to how those teams are. A lot of these teams, of course, Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs, he ended up playing in the Czechs. He ended up playing in Switzerland. But he did. Again, this is the Swiss league. They're generally one thing that you will notice about a lot of these European leagues is they tend to have a lot of their own players stay around to play for an extra year or two. So typically it does help with the way that some of these teams do operate. Of course, there are, of course, with the Czech league being such a small league, and of course having 2 different other leagues that you can be regulated, but you can, like, in order to prevent a lot of the Czech leagues from having issues with relegation, and instead of relegating teams with a low cost roster, and those, they typically will end up trying to prevent loophole. Every once in a while, you'll see teams try to relegate teams who have a lower cap and who have players also who are a high cost, and that they know they won't be able to keep up with them once they get demoted. So the salary caps that have been added to these teams, of course, has really prevented a lot of the Czech teams from being demoted. Of course, mainly some of these teams, Yaman Yager owns a team here in the ELH, so they do have that sense of urgency there. Having an NHL legend be your owner, and Yamin Yager, of course, has played a few games since his retirement from the NHL. Of course, that has helped a lot of the NHL's growth in the Czechs, has helped hockey's growth in the Czech. So, with that, let's go ahead and go to the Erste Liga, which of course is the Hungarian-Romanian league, was previously the MOL Liga, but of course because of the new sponsorship of this league, they do have it was the Hungarian bank Extra Bank that has now since taken over the sponsorship, so it has been renamed. This one is a cross continent situation. Of course, all these teams play for a chance to play, of course, to play another day and sort of get looked at from other leagues. Of course, this league started in 2008. It does have a total of 10 teams, 7 from Hungary, 3 from Romania. The team with the most titles, of course, is a DVK Jegesmedvék. Of course, they all sort of, like I said, they're playing in Romania and in Hungary, so they do have their fair share of areas. One of the dominant programs that you will get to see in Romania, one of the most dominant programs in Romania, of course, is the hockey club of Czech Extra Liga, which is actually in Romania, an area that some Hungarians consider to be Hungarian land, but again, most of that area is sort of just an area that you would normally see. Of course, with that being said, there are a lot of teams here. With a lot of the memberships that are in here, of course, Budapest has quite a few. If you do remember, there was a Hungarian player by the name of Oszkai Gábor who did play in the Erste League. He was 23 years old, I believe, at the time that he did pass away. Let's see. No, I'm sorry. He was 33 years old. Oczkai was 33 years old when he did pass away from a heart attack. Székesfehérvár does play in his rink, although they are moving to a new and bigger rink. In concerns to this area, of course, like I mentioned, the all-time champion in this league, the one that has the most, is of course the Jegesmedvék of DVK. In here, of course, with this, they also do have a lot of different leagues, with Hungary having quite a few to compete with, and of course, with that being said, obviously, it makes it hard for these teams to sort of work with each other. Of course, it is sort of a rough league to cover. I definitely will cover them a little more in depth later on, but again, these are two leagues in Europe that we sort of have set in Europe. Of course, these are some of the two smaller leagues, so this is going to be a little bit shorter of an episode than normal. With that being said, of course, so again, we were covering today the Czech League and the Hungarian-Romanian League with this episode. So thank you for listening to this. And this is a really short episode, so I'm apologizing for this. But I will have a bigger and better episode next week to start with. Thank you.